If you're a curious music lover who likes to go beyond listening and onto exploring little things behind the sounds, then first of all, it means I'm not alone, but most importantly, you're in a good place. In this video, I'll be talking to London-based musician Joncan Kavlakoglu, whom I met back in the summer when we were recording one of our sessions in a park. Despite the current lockdown situation, Joncan keeps on performing, and does so without breaking any of the guidelines. Stay with me to find out how. So Joncan is already with me. Hey man, I hope you've been well during this whole lockdown situation.
Yeah, all good.
I haven't said anything about your music yet, so I'll leave it all up to you. So I guess it's a good time to start and ask you a question. What got you into playing music in the first place?
So I would say me hearing Carlos Santana play and hearing his electric guitar alongside the Latin percussion of his band, that instilled something into me when I was a kid, and ever since then I was kind of fascinated with guitars, and I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to start playing, and so it was definitely hearing Carlos Santana play. Yeah.
And would you also say that like his music influenced what you went on to produce, make yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. I was always very percussion focused, even playing electric guitar, and I liked the concept of Latin music and Spanish music and that kind of passionate kind of playing that was massively influenced by Santana. Absolutely, definitely, yeah.
So your music here is quite unique. So I would like to ask, how would you call it? I mean, because we like to have a name for everything these days.
Yeah, I if I have to kind of pin it down to something, it's sort of flamenco funk fusion is what I would say. However, for example, the track that we recorded over there in the park, that's much more of a Led Zeppelin acoustic-y kind of more strumming, Western acoustic based track. But in general, when I'm in my normal kind of mode, I would say flamenco funk fusion. Yeah.
So I can see the guitar in the background, which makes me wonder, are we in your creative space?
We're in, it can be a creative space. We're in a streaming space. So it's one of the kind of studio scenes that I use and the studio setups that I use for streaming performances since lockdown started. And since they're not any more physical gigs, this is how I'm performing now.
So it's great you mentioned actually streaming, because I was about to ask that. We're in London in yet another lockdown, and you found your way of performing, which is absolutely incredible. I think you've performed for Google Stuff Party recently. Can you tell us more about that?
So there's no physical performances for us musicians at the moment. However, what I got into was through need and through desire to be performing and to have purpose during this lockdown. I got into streaming performances, and I go to really high efforts to take really high quality audio and as high quality video as I can, and try and make a scene and make the same environment and atmosphere that I would at a normal performance. With the benefit being that I can do that from a living room, I can do that from any studio anywhere, and I can broadcast that internationally. So that was the concept, and it took quite a while to get to the point where I'm comfortable doing that and feel confident in the sound quality especially. But we're at a point now where I feel when I'm giving a performance of the streamed content, it's akin to a live performance physically, definitely.
So I have watched a few artists actually performing online. One of them was Fast from Fun Loving Criminals, who was also a guest on our channel in the past. I was delighted as a fan, but I also wondered, how does it feel to be on a performance side?
Well, firstly, everyone's at home, so it's a very, very strange concept as a musician who's used to the stage and used to a kind of stage atmosphere in a venue, to then be performing to people in their homes, and so their reactions are actually much more honest and natural, I would say, because they are in their comfortable space. We were talking about comfortable spaces earlier. They are in their comfortable space. They're in their armchair. They're on their sofa in their warm kind of apartment somewhere. And I would say that the USP, the unique thing about the streaming, especially when the audience is around the world in their own home, is that it breaks down a barrier. It removes in the way that the internet does and that internet kind of interactions do in general. So people are much more happy to have a one-to-one conversation with me after a performance or ask questions that they wouldn't normally.
We've actually skipped a little bit forward because I was meant to ask you, how do you actually approach songwriting? Because your music is very complex. It is, there's so much going on, even though it's just you playing guitar. How do you actually sit down and go, this is how it's going to sound like?
Yeah, I look at it as a band. I look at myself as emulating a band, and I look at a single melody or a single chord progression, and then I kind of think, okay, what kind of drums would I want to put alongside that? What kind of bass line would I want to put alongside that if I'm working in a band context? And from there, I try and kind of create the composition around the idea of my percussion style is doing the drum kind of roll, my more kind of lower notes are trying to kind of emulate a bass guitar, and the rest of me is trying to emulate guitar and vocals at some point in different forms. So I look at it kind of from that concept of I'm a band with different elements of my guitar filling in those different band roles.
So yeah, once the song is written, there's quite a lot of videos on YouTube to find you performing them, which I encourage everyone to go out and see. But can your music be found on Spotify?
At the moment, no. There's nothing on Spotify, and it's been a strange kind of a strange journey for me, because I didn't want to put anything out publicly on Spotify and commit to recording until I felt a certain quality could be met, or there was a certain kind of space of time in my life when I was free enough to commit to that. Equally, I was very proud to be earning all of my income from just performing my own tracks without having had any of them recorded. However, very soon the tracks of my first debut album will be out on Spotify and all kind of major channels for people to listen to, and maybe kind of hang around it and kind of look out for that in the coming months. We've been recording all through 2020, socially distanced, just me and the engineer in the studio, and there'll be more information about that coming soon.
Oh yeah, definitely reach out and let us know so we can perhaps talk about it later. So I think I've got just two more questions. So first one is, let's fast forward this time and then let's go to some kind of normal, as I mentioned before. We're back to having live concerts, and you can choose an artist that you'd like to open a show for. Who would that be for you?
I would pick two artists. It would either be Rodrigo and Gabriela, because I feel like their music had a massive influence on me, and it's very, very similar style. They would be like a super elite artist for me to open for. Aside from them, then the absolute dream would be Carlos Santana, and Carlos Santana's entire band. That would be absolutely incredible. Yeah.
So the last question then is, as a musician, as a human, what was the best advice you've ever been given?
I'll give two again. Number one is always learn the names of the people around you when you're on stage or when you're working in any context. The primary context being your sound engineer. If your sound engineer's name is Dave, then you need to commit that name to memory for the entire amount of time that you're on stage, because Dave is in complete control of your audio at that point, and you want to make sure that you give Dave the respect that he deserves, so he does a good job in making you sound good. So, and just out of common courtesy. I've got a very strange name, and I appreciate it when people know and kind of learn my name, and so I try and extend that to everyone that I work with. The second piece of advice is a kind of quote from Marlon Brando, which is, never confuse the size of your paycheck with the size of your talent. And it kind of works both ways as a quote. It's saying, don't ever think that just because you're being paid a lot of money, you're very talented, just automatically. And also on the other side of things, don't ever think that just because you're not being paid a lot of money that you're not talented.
Cool. Thank you so much for this, man. I definitely would like to know more about the album whenever that's coming. And just for now, thank you so much, and have a lovely, lovely weekend.
That's great, and I want to thank you for your time, man, and I hope you're doing okay, and thank you very much for giving your time to this project. It's massively appreciated.
So we're nearly done for today. Just remember that Joncan's video is going live on this channel tomorrow, so do come back to give it a listen. This is the video that we recorded back in the summer as a part of 2 Meters Apart session. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon so you never miss a thing from below the surface. And for now, this is goodbye.